In this video, I'm going to teach you a 100% safe way to get every item you need to start your rust wipe without ever leaving the outpost, and take your wipe day from looking something like this to this. By the end of this video, you'll know how to leave Outpost with all the wood and stone you need to make a base that includes a level 1 workbench, a furnace, one large box, a tool cupboard, and even starting your base out with a metal door so you can protect your base from those wipe day, Molotov, and flamethrower raids. Our first goal is to reach the outpost. Feel free to hit any rocks or trees you find on your way there. Once you get to Outpost, your next goal is to find a paddle. You can either get 95 scrap and research it and craft it afterwards, or you can find one, like I did. Oh nice, I got a paddle, that's perfect. The reason the paddle is so important here is because Outpost only lets you carry a few items while you're inside due to the safe zone, and the paddle is the most effective for the strategy that we're going to be using. Now that we have our paddle, let's take a look at the map so I can show you what areas are safe and what areas are not safe. This is a safe zone. You cannot die while you are inside this green circle. This is the kind of safe zone. You can die while you're in this circle, but it's very unlikely. Lastly, we have the danger zone. We do not want to enter this area until we are ready to leave and we have everything to build our starter base. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, how are we going to get all the materials we need inside Outpost to create a starter base? And that leads us to the first secret trade that no one knows about in Rust. The trade I'm referring to is at this vending machine in Outpost, and it allows you to trade scrap for stone and wood. I'm sure you've heard other YouTubers say that farming wood is super boring and that everyone should just hit stone and trade it in at Outpost for wood. But I'm here to tell you that the real Chads use scrap to trade for their stone. This is the trade that's going to allow us to get all the materials we need to build a starter base. And to build that starter base, we need around 3,000 wood, 3,500 stone, 50 low grade, 465 metal fragments, 30 cloth, and 1 metal blade depending on if you want to craft the paddle or find one like I did. We'll also need 475 total scrap to buy the materials we need and to craft our workbench. Now that we're armed with our trusty paddle and the knowledge of where we can and can't go, we can now start gathering scrap to use to trade in the outpost for the materials that we need later. There are many points of interest within the outpost that we can use to get scrap, including the road signs, crates, barrels, and the junk piles that spawn along the roads. Using these resources to gather our scrap allows us to be 100% safe until we get everything we need to create our base. My favorite way of doing this method is to cycle around the outside of the outpost, gathering all the barrels and boxes I can find, hitting the signs, and then recycling, waiting for it to respawn, and then going again. This allows me to use my time effectively and to avoid standing in one spot waiting for barrels and boxes to respawn. While the success of this method is guaranteed, the speed isn't always guaranteed. Depending on how many people are contesting you with this method and how populated the server is, the time could change depending on those. Using this method, when you recycle, you will get an abundance of cloth and metal fragments that you can use for whatever that you want. This is actually really nice if you're in a group because you can craft code locks before you ever even build your base. While you're cycling Outpost, you should go to the market and check out any shops that are around to see if there's any deals that you can get before you leave. Here, I was able to buy 32 5.56 ammo with just 15 scrap. I then took some of the extra scrap I had and went ahead and started to research it. As I go along farming and I gather the materials like metal, I like to go ahead and start crafting my metal doors and workbench so that I can have it ready for when I'm ready to go. Keep in mind too that you don't have to recycle everything that you find. Feel free to keep any tools, clothes, or rugs that you find to keep in your base. As you watch this, you'll notice that I'm not always in the safe zone, and that's because I'm in the kind of safe zone, where Outpost will still protect me from anyone that tries to kill me. While this method isn't super exciting, it works for all skill levels, and it's super relaxing if you just want to chill and you don't want to go out and farm monuments on wipe day. As we cycle around the outpost and gather all the materials that we need to build our base, I'm sure that you're starting to wonder, yeah, all this loot is nice, but how are we going to make it to our build location safely? That leads me into my last secret trade. Now, there's two different versions of Outpost. You have the regular Outpost, and then you have the Outpost that's merged with the Bandit Camp, as a lot of maps are doing nowadays, just like this one that I'm playing on. Now, when you're at the Outpost that's merged with Bandit Camp, you can actually purchase night vision for 250 scrap, which is what I choose to do here in this video. The reason the night vision is so powerful is because it's super hard to see at nighttime in Rust, and using the night vision, it allows us to navigate to our build location safely and see what we're doing along the way, while other players won't be able to see through the darkness. As you make your way to your build location, now is a good time to organize your inventory and get everything on your hotbar set up so that when you get to your build location, you'll have everything ready on your hotbar so you can quickly build your base and seal it with the tool cupboard down. The numbers I provided earlier in the video for how much materials that you need to build the base were based on a basic 1x2 with an airlock. So if you want to build a bigger base or you want more materials for upkeep, then feel free to gather those before you leave the outpost. If your outpost doesn't have night vision available to buy, this method will still work for you, you just won't be able to see as well. This location isn't perfect due to its proximity to the railroad tracks, but this does prove that you can build a 1x2 base with all the materials that we acquired along the way. I actually made a small mistake here and didn't grab the exact amount of stone I needed, so I did have to make the floor and the roof metal, but that's okay because we had plenty extra. Once you get the base down, it's time to place your door, place your tool cupboard, workbench, and anything else that you require to put inside your base. With our base down, that concludes this guide on how to build the easiest and safest base in Rust with no risk. If you try this method and it works for you, please like the video and post below in the comments how well it worked for you and any more tips that you might have to help anyone else along their way.